Hello, my name is Arthur, and in the last video we got our rigid body vehicles moving around about as good as they were in the previous tank experiment. And now it's time to test out the rigid bodies on some uneven ground, so like get some hills and see how it acts and behaves with a little bit more of a challenge for terrain. So what I've done is I've opened up my tiles blend file, which has the 4 road tiles that are used in that map, and I'm going to make a hill out of one of the tiles. So we'll just take and modify the straight into some kind of a hill. So let's just shift duplicate that. We'll use the control key to pull it over and rotate that 90 degrees, and we'll have to be in median point to do that. Rotate 90, and we'll take it into edit mode and look at what we can do with that. So first thing I'll do is I'll create a pitch. So I'll snap the cursor to this edge, and we'll look at that from a bit of an angle. Period. We'll change rotation to 3D cursor, and we'll rotate that on X. Oh, we gotta select all first. We'll select all, rotate X, and we'll use the control key, and I'll rotate that. We'll try a 15-degree pitch, so that'll work. That's the start of a hill. So we'll make that hill half the size of the tile, so we'll loop cut the tile. Shift snap cursor to selected. We'll select, whoops, I'm gonna get back to proper tools here. We'll select this portion and we'll rotate that on X, and we'll go -15, so that will level off the top. Now this edge won't be sitting where it used to be, so it won't meet up as a tile. In global, we'll change Y to 3, because each tile is 3 blender units. So that should get its size to be proper. Now we need to give some sides to this hill, so we'll do that. That's not too difficult. And this will be an odd size tile, so it's not really thought out. We're going to just leave the UV wrap because it's just an experimental hill, and later on I'll look at how these are wrapped and how these road tiles actually work and whether they need to be built quite this way or not. So let's see, what are we doing here? We're going to extrude this, and we'll move it on Y, on X to -1.5. -1.5. That would be like half a tile in distance. Then we'll go scale Z0. That will flatten its edge, so it's a flat, and then we'll move Z down to 0, so that'll pull it down to the ground like that. We'll just repeat that process on this side as well. So we'll extrude it, we'll move it over half a tile, so that would be -7.5, scale Z0, and move Z down to 0. So that should give us a pitch on either side of that hill. And then we can just move our cursor to here, the middle of that edge. Select all, shift duplicate, drop that, and rotate it 180 degrees. Now if we select all and merge by distance, that should remove any double vertices. So the UV wrap's been stretched out and stuff, like it's not wrapped correctly, but it should work. So let's go into mesh. We'll change the shading to smooth faces, and we'll call that our hill. So from here, this is just a temporary thing. This is just a test item. From here, we know that the scale from these tiles into the Godot project is 4 times. So we'll scale 4. And let's take and apply the scale and rotation to that. And then we'll export this. So we'll export this. We'll make sure to include selected objects only. And we'll go into our file. Let's see. We'll put this into map 1, import, and we'll create a folder here. We'll call that hill. So we'll export into this and we'll change the title to hill. So that should get us working. We'll just minimize this. That will come in. World, map 1. Inside of import, we will have hill. That's created a repeat of materials. I'm not sure what went on there. Oh, we only have road material there. I'm just reading the folder structure wrong. So we'll open that up. We'll turn this into a tri-mesh static body. We'll put this into the group map. And we'll just save that into the hill folder because it's just an experimental hill to test the vehicles out. So we'll save scene as hill. It's going into that folder. And that's all fine and dandy. Then we can take the hill and we'll drop it into the map assets part here. And let's see, what did we get? Not sure what's up with that. So it has its origin is in an odd place. We'll just pull it up because it's just an experiment and we'll remember that issue. So we'll pull it up and pull it out somewhere that is flat. So we'll pull it out to one of the flat areas of the map here. And then we'll just push it into the floor a little bit. And we can probably just snap it to the floor. Let's try that. Snap object to floor. Okay, couldn't find a solid floor. It's probably inside the floor. There we go. So that should be pretty darn close. I think that on the edge of the road there's an issue. So we'll actually have to pull that down. We'll just pull it down to make sure it's... because the edge of the road always needs a dead end tile to be flush with the floor. So I think that should be good that way though, and be enough to test out the vehicle on a hill. So we'll run that. There's our hill up there. Let's take this vehicle to where it can see. So let's move him out here kind of deal, and then get him to turn towards the hill so he can see what's going on. And we've got to turn the gravity scale back to 1 because it's doing the jerky motion of having reduced gravity. So from here, he'll be able to see what goes on. But we got to deal with the gravity thing first, because otherwise the test isn't going to work. So we'll have to start that over again. So we'll just get this guy somewhere where he can see. We'll go this way this time. Maybe forward a little bit more and then get him to turn towards the hill. So he'll be able to see what goes on from here. So we'll select one of the other vehicles. Let's select this one. We'll get him driving to and over the hill. So let's go back to 1. So we can get him driving so that he's going to come up the hill. So that flag was planted for the selected Jeep, which is this Jeep. We can navigate other Jeeps. So it didn't do too bad on that hill. That wasn't too terribly bad. I still believe there's an issue, and I know that there is because I've generated it. And there is an issue that the vehicles can fly, but I don't think that it's going to play out to be as bad of an issue as I thought. So I think if we make it so the vehicle can't have linear velocity if it's not in contact with the ground, that will be enough to solve the issues. Where I ran into issues was I got vehicles colliding with each other over top of the road, and the vehicle did start flying and it was driving around in the air. So it is something that can happen, but it's clearly not an issue that is going to be super easy to reproduce. We'll see if we can get that to reproduce at all. I'm not able to get a flag going for this guy. So I'm not sure. I seem to not be able to do a flag now. So I'm not sure why that was. We'll just try to get these guys running into each other on the hill and see if the issue will reproduce. We'll bring this guy in closer. Sometimes I can get something to happen once and then it proves to be very difficult to happen a second time. Which that's kind of the way that certain parts of debugging end up working. Now he's kind of stuck. He can't go or get to his flag. And this vehicle seems to be stuck also on something. I think what he's actually stuck on is this flag. So if I was to delete that, and now he's stuck on his own flag here. So there we go, flying vehicle. So now we got a Jeep flying around, and not so hard to reproduce after all. Oh, and he rolled. So there are some issues there, and this guy, he's going to be permanently stuck. Basically have to drive into him to get him unstuck. And we got a vehicle on its side here. So yeah, definitely have some issues that need to be addressed. We got just about every vehicle has gone crazy here. So that's a pretty good demonstration of the issues with using rigid bodies. So there's definitely um, some things going on here that aren't working out. So this guy's flying around now too. So they're pretty much just gone wild. We got Jeeps circling around like buzzards and stuff. So that's pretty hilarious. Yeah. So there's our issues that need to be solved. And this is where things end up with rigid bodies. So I'd imagine that would be much more difficult to reproduce with the gravity turned up. So we have the camera issue with the gravity turned up and a little bit jerky motion, or we come up with a solution to get the vehicles to have additional gravity when they come off of the ground. So make them so they can't have velocity off of the ground, or and have additional gravity when they're off of the ground so that they get back onto the ground quickly. But when they're on the ground, they don't have to have the stuttering of the additional gravity to kind of make the camera view sort of sucky. So that's the issue. I think that I think we'll deal with that in another video, trying to shorten up the length of my videos. So we'll come back and we'll deal with that in the next video. So this was let's look at the problem, and in the next video we'll come up with a solution. And until then, take care.